Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here again by the gracious hostess and host, my good friend Rabbi and Laura, and Hashem Shechina B'Chayim. There's a it's good, good job. We need to make it in a bigger venue.
Guys, it was a married class, so you could have brought the wife.
Of course. Of course. I don't have okay.
Rabbi.
I did. Thank you, sweetheart.
Guys, we're
comfortable. Look at that, beautiful.
Great seat, my favorite seat.
Come on in.
That's the uncle seats, no?
Hi, Joe. What's going on?
Excellent. We are reading the parashiyot now that talk about the Mishkan. The Mishkan was like a synagogue, but it was a portable synagogue. It was made with very special details, gold and silver, with certain dimensions and certain kavanot they had to put in it. And this is what they had in the desert for 40 years. It was a traveling, they call it in English a tabernacle. It traveled with the Jewish people. And the purpose of this structure was to bring God from the upper heavens down to earth. We know God is in the heavens, but we want God to be with us. We want Him to be close to us. We want to feel it. We want Him to be next to us. So this Mishkan was like I will give a bad example, but like a satellite. It was able to draw the Shechina and bring it down to the people. Of course, it's not a satellite. This was done with holiness and intention, and sacrifices, and Kohanim, and so on and so forth. Today we don't have a Mishkan. Today we don't have a temple. The Pasuk writes, "V'asu li mikdash." Make for me a mikdash, make for me a temple. V'shachanti betochem, and I will dwell in your midst. So the temple served a very important purpose. God was with us. Once the temple was destroyed, we lose that benefit. How do we supplement it today? Which means today that we don't have a temple, what is the vehicle that we use to bring Shechina down into the home, into the world? Our rabbis tell us the institution of marriage. The Gemara says, when a man gets married, ish ve'isha, Shechina b'nehin. Establishing a Jewish home is tantamount to building a Mishkan. Therefore, at our weddings, how do we get married? We tell the girl, Hare at mekudeshet li. Behold, you are sanctified unto me. The word li. That word li is used in the Mishkan. Ve'asu li mikdash. Hare at mekudeshet li. Li. Now that we don't have the li of the ve'asu li mikdash, so instead we have Hariyat Mikudeshet Li. And it accomplishes the same objective. It brings the Shekhinah down. It's a big thing, the Jewish marriage. That's why we have a custom. At the end of a wedding ceremony, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, we break a glass. Why do we break the glass? The breaking of the glass, according to the tradition, the main reason that they bring is in order to remember the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. So the temple was broken. So we break a glass like we're breaking the temple. Why do we do that at a wedding? How come we don't do that at a bris? How come we don't do that at a pidyon? How come we don't do that at a bar mitzvah? Only a wedding ceremony we want to remember the destruction of the temple? But the reason is a happy time. So the reason is based on what I just told you. That since we don't have a temple anymore, and what took the place of the temple to bring the Shekhinah down? Marriage. So therefore, at the time of the marriage, we remember, we used to have a Mishkan, we used to have a Beit HaMikdash. Instead of V'asu li Mikdash, now we only have Hariyat Mikudeshet Li. So therefore, it's a moment where we contemplate, what did we lose? So when we're building our home, we remember God's home, so to speak. And therefore we break the glass in order to remember it. That's the simple interpretation of this custom. However, if that's the reason why we break the glass at a wedding, I always had a very big question. What do they do right after they break the glass? Everybody says, hey, Mazel Tov, hey. What do you mean Mazel Tov? You just broke the temple. You just chopped it up. You just destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. And right away everybody's reaction, hey, everybody's going wild.
Because I the way you build.
But you just destroyed.
I the way you build.
You can say whatever you want, but you just destroyed. So some have the custom that they break the glass early in the ceremony. So it's not done yet. So they won't say, hey, Mazel Tov. But our custom is to do it at the end. So it's a little funny, that reaction, unless we say that there's other reasons why we break the glass. Once we explore the other reasons why we break the glass at the wedding, you'll see that it's a fascinating item. On Friday night, we make kiddush. What do? We take a glass or a cup. Usually you'll see the cup that we use for kiddush is silver. Most people have silver. If you go to the store to buy a kiddush cup, there's silver. Very rarely will you find a gold cup. Even though I'm sure some people could afford gold cups. It's not about the money. There's a reason. Because silver, in general, represents mercy. Gold represents judgment. Silver is like white. It's light color. Gold is red. Red is the judgment. So we want to do mercy. We want to use mercy. So therefore we use silver. Our rabbis tell us that the cup itself, leave the silver. The cup itself, like a glass cup, represents judgment. Why does a cup represent judgment? Because God has a name of judgment. It's called Elohim. Some of the names of God is mercy. Yud-Ke, Vav-Ke is mercy. Elohim is judgment. That means whenever you see the word Elohim, judgment. Whenever you see Yud-Ke, Vav-Ke, mercy. The numerical value of the word Elohim is 86. It's the exact numerical value of the word Kos. Kos is Chaf, Vav, Samech is 86. So the Bein Shai says the Kos represents the judgments. Dinim. So the custom in the old country was they would make the beracha on the cup. Sabri Maranan, but if they would drink. Now what are you left with? With the cup. The cup is the judgment. So what do they want to do with the judgment? They want to break the judgments. So there shouldn't be any dinim on the Hatam Kala. So when they're taking the course, they're getting rid of all the dinim, all the judgments, shalom, all the bad luck, let's say. Oh, so if that's the reason for breaking the cup, now I understand. Hey, Mazal Tov. Beautiful. You got rid of the judgments. So we're not saying Mazal Tov on the Yerushalayim, we're saying Mazal Tov on the... But I want to tell you a third reason why we break the cup. Whenever we do something great, which getting married is one of the greatest things that we do in our lives, something very holy, very special, you're bringing Shechina down, the Satan, he likes to sabotage. He likes to spoil it. Anytime you're doing something very, very important, there's always going to be a resistance. Some will call it Ayin Hara, some will call it the Yetzer Hara, some say Satan. He wants to ruin it. Because he knows it's important. That's why anything good you're going to do in life, you're always going to have resistance. When there's resistance, you know it's good. No question, no pain, no gain. I'll give you an example. Our rabbis tell us, so whenever you're doing something great, you need to keep the Satan out of the way, so you bribe him. You need to bribe him. Like you want to keep the kapoes and you get away, don't bother him. So you bribe the Satan. I'll give you an example. On Kippur, on Yom Kippur, we're asking God for atonement. Now the Satan will go to God and say, what are you giving them atonement for? They're no good. They do this every year. They fast. They go like this. The next day they're back to their old ways. God, don't buy it. I mean, the Satan is a bad guy. He's not looking for our better. So we need to keep him quiet. There's a custom, not a custom, it's a law from the Torah. On Kippur, you read about in the Torah, they take a goat, it's called a sa'ir, they go to a mountain, it's a cliff, it's called Azazel, and what do they do with that goat? They throw it off the mountain. I can ask you, does that sound Jewish? Throwing a goat off a mountain? Our religion talks about cruelty to animals, slaughter the animal with the thing, and if the ASPCA would hear about this, they put all the Kohanim in jail. And here we go on Kippur, the holiest day of the year, no less. And the Kohen takes a goat and hurls it off a mountain, and the thing goes rolling. It sounds satanic. The Ramban says it is. That's for the Satan. That's his bribe. The Satan says, you don't want me to talk? You don't want me to say nothing? Give me something. You know what? He likes that. That's satanic. He don't like a Qurban ritual. Hey, you want something? Here, take the tumah off the thing. You're happy with that? I'll take it. So you see that concept. That's why it says the Satan, every day of the year he has prosecution against us. But one day a year, he got the money, he got the goat, he keeps quiet. That's why if you take the word Hasatan, think of the word Hasatan. Listen to the word Hasatan. He, Sin, Tet, Nun. Hasatan. He is 5. Sin is 300, that's 305. Hasatan. Tet is 9. 305 plus 9 is how much? 314. And Nun is 50. So Hasatan equals 364. Because you can only prosecute 364 days a year. One day a year, Kippur, is all. Of course it's a good one. What do you mean? Good one. All good. Now, we didn't start yet.
What do people do like current day?
Oh, you're saying good. That's the prayers. That's why a lot of the prayers of Kippur talks about this goat. And the Torah says when you read it, God gives you credit as if you did it. The whole prayer of Musaf talks about this goat because it's a very integral part. So it's covered by lip service. Now watch. It's the same thing. The Gemara, the Zohar writes, after a person eats a hefty meal, a bread, festive meal, whatever it is, he's sitting there enjoying himself, he feels bloated, he feels full and all that. The Satan goes to God and tells God, what are these guys eating? What is it? All the sins that these people have, they should be fasting all day long. And they're sitting enjoying a meal. So we need to get the Satan not to... So what do we do at the end of a meal? Very good. We wash our fingertips. You ever see them do that? My maharonim, they go at the end of the meal, they go like this. What's the reason why they do that? They take we don't talk about, right? They take the water at the end of the meal.
Don't get pepper in your eye.
Oh! You heard that story I told you?
I'll always think about it.
It's unbelievable. You don't
I should be teaching the class.
That's the college area.
The high school. The high school. She heard it. She talked about it. We mentioned it in the God bless you. Okay. That's the super reason, I have no doubt. But you know what? You ever hear when they do this water, this Maim Harunim they call it, a lot of times they say get it off the table.
Yeah.
Why are we getting it off the table for? So it's dirty water, big deal. What about the dirty plates? We don't say get the dirty plates off the table. No, Maim Harunim, kish it, put it in the kitchen. Why? Because the rabbis say that the Satan, he likes this grease. This is his dessert. He likes this stuff. The stuff that we think is disgusting, so therefore at the end of the meal we say, okay, here's the dessert. Don't go to God and have claims against us that we just ate a good meal. What will you take? Give me the stuff on your hand. This is for the Satan. That's why we say, get it off the table. Kish, get it off the table. It's the Satan's items. Tameh. So a lot of the religion has to do with that. I'll give you an amazing Gemara. The Gemara says there was a rabbi. Before he used to start giving his lecture, he used to start off with a joke. And then he would continue the lecture. So the rabbis would ask, what's the purpose? Why start off with a joke? The simple interpretation is the Gemara is teaching you a lesson in how to speak. If you want to catch the people's attention, you can't start off the class. The Pasuk says you love half the group already. The Pasuk says that's it. Pasuk says next next level. So you start off, I heard a funny joke. Oh, joke? Everybody's listening to joke? Yeah, a joke. Then once you get them in the joke, then you throw in the Divrei Torah and you go to their attention. That's the simple interpretation of Gemara. But the depth is, when the rabbi is about to give a class, it's such an important thing to give a Divrei Torah, the Satan will now try to come in and ruin it. So what do you do in the beginning of the class? Here's a joke for you, okay? Here's the joke. The joke is to give the Satan a little piece of the action so he won't bother you. That's the bribe. So he starts off with a little, light comment. What do we do at a wedding to keep the Satan from jeopardizing it? We take a glass, we break it. Again, it doesn't sound Jewish. Since when do we break things? Greeks throw dishes against the wall after dinner. But Jewish people don't do that. They break a glass, and we're breaking the glass. The rabbis say, we're telling the Satan here, you want the broken? Take this. Take the garbage. It's like the Maimah Haronim. That's a piece to him, so he doesn't jeopardize the situation. So the breaking of the glass is very significant. But I want to teach you. That's why I'm giving you reasons. Because when you're educated now and you know some of the reasons, you'll understand what I'm going to tell you now. I'm lucky because I go to a lot of weddings, as you know. A few months ago, under the chuppah, the guy breaks the wedding, the glass. So the girl says, Rabbi, I want the glass. What do you want the glass for? I want to make decoupage.
She wants to put this guy in the house.
Decoupage? Decoupage of the Satan?
She didn't know?
I didn't say it like that to her. But I'm saying now that we know the reasons, that's not because one smart guy, give him credit, entrepreneur figured out a new item to sell. Oh, we'll frame the glass for you, we'll make a mosaic, it's an item. Right. I give the guy a lot of credit. He's a genius. But to the educated consumer who know, it's like taking the Maimah Haronim and showcasing it now on the thing. Showcasing Maimah Haronim. It's tum'ah. Oh, we didn't know, Rabbi. We thought it's an item. We thought it's good luck. Good luck? What's good luck? Satan. So I said it in the school today. This reason to one of the girls in school is, oh wow. Says my aunt gave me the glass from her wedding and said it's a singulat to carry it with me that I'll get married. I said, Aunt, she said, I'm waiting 3 years. I'm still not married. Don't be afraid. Get rid of it. Get rid of the item. Unload it. You get married next week. You're holding on to the thing in your pocket. People make up their own stuff. So look at this, such a simple minhag like breaking a glass. Look how many reasons are behind it. To remember Jerusalem. Kos is Gematria 86, which is Elohim, which is to break the judgments. It's to give a piece to the Satan so he doesn't Sabbath. I'll only tell you this because Judaism has a lot of customs, and a lot of times we don't understand the depth of the customs. But you should never, and not that we do, but we should never belittle a Jewish custom because there's always a reason. There's always a logic. I don't know if I told you the story. God willing, in May, we're planning on making a trip to Krakow. In Krakow, Poland, is buried a very big rabbi called the Rabbi Moshe Isudish. A great, great rabbi. He was the rabbi of the Ashkenazim, but he was the main rabbi. He was a young man, and they made him the chief rabbi in Krakow. On the day that they made him the rabbi, he's the first day in the shul. After they finished praying in the morning, the gabbai of the synagogue gets up with a paper. We'd like to wish congratulations to the following people: Mr. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so. It was, hey, Mazal Tov, hey, it was congratulations. So the Ramah says, what happened to these people? Oh, these are the people that their wives went to the mikveh last night. The rabbi says, what? You make an announcement of the guys whose wives went to the... And everybody tells them, hey, Mabruk, Mazal Tov, hey, way to go, very nice. He says, what kind of crazy minhag is this? The mikveh is such a private item. And here you're getting up in public, you're announcing it to the guy. He says, listen, I'm the rabbi of the shul. This minhag officially is abolished. No more minhag like this. There's a rabbi, we're doing this for so many years. It doesn't make any sense. So they stopped the minhag. A few weeks later, there was a guy who was out of town, comes back to the shul. Supposedly his wife went to the mikveh the night before, so he's waiting for the, for the Mazal Tov. He's waiting for the announcement. The guy doesn't get up. So the guy goes after, he says, hey, what's going on? How come you didn't give me the acknowledgement? He says, oh, listen, you were away. We got a new rabbi here. He stopped the, we don't do that anymore. He squashed the minhag. And he says, but anyway, we have the list of the ladies that went to the mikveh. I don't know how to tell you this, but your wife didn't go to the mikveh. She's not on the list. He said, what do you mean she's not on the list? She went to the mikveh. They investigated. She didn't go to the mikveh that night. What did she do? She walked around the block. She put water on her head. Because in those days the mikveh was cold. It was, it wasn't so easy. So he went back to the rabbi and says, Rabbi, my wife didn't go to the mikveh. She put the water The rabbi said, wow, now I understand why they have this custom. They announce it in public so the woman will not be able to fool around that they didn't go and just put water on their head. He says, that's the reason of the minhag. And he ripped his clothes. He says, it's my fault because I changed the custom. Even such a ridiculous custom, there's a reason behind it. Because by announcing it now, the lady knows it. Everyone's going to announce it. Have the list. It's going to get caught. But here, without announcing and talking, nobody knows what anybody does. So therefore, he says, I caused this. And that's why when he wrote his book, many times he wrote a book on customs, this rabbi. He wrote a book. Today it's easier because it's warm mikveh and it's private. Those days they have to go, they got ice picking, no ice. It's like ice fishing. He writes in his book many times, V'chen ha-minhag ve'en l'shanot. He says, this is the minhag and don't change it. He's talking to himself because he knew the repercussions of what does it mean to change a minhag. But I want to give you another reason why we break the glass. One rabbi said the reason why you break the glass at the wedding is to remember the day of death. How do you kill a glass? You break it. Now, I agree from time to time it's good to think about a person's mortality. But under the huppah?
Well, maybe it's a trifecta.
No. What? Under the huppah? It's such a happy day. It's such a beautiful night. But now we're going to do a ceremony. Let's remember the day of death. Let's remember the day of death. Now you want to remember the day of death? It's not. Right, the party's over. What does that mean? How can you?
Rabbi, it means the party's over.
That's what he's saying, but I don't accept that answer. You got married because you want to live, not because you want to die.
That's right.
What did you get married for?
It was a joke.
No, I know. I'm joking. My wife is going to listen to the tape. I don't know. Now watch. Now watch. So I'm going to explain it to you. Very important custom. Before I say what I'm going to say, if you answer amen, it's going to come true what I'm going to say. Because we have a holy moment now, because we're in the Brit Torah. But I preface what I'm going to say with the beracha that all of you over here, whoever's not married will get married. B'ezrat Hashem, amen.
Amen.
And whoever's married will be blessed with a family of children. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. So nobody has to worry now. Everybody's going to have children. That's fact. I'm telling you, because we're in the holy room. We have beracha of the host. He's a kohen. Children, you're going to have, and I'm going to come to the Brit Milah. I'm coming to the Brit Milah. Okay. Now that that's out of the way. Why does the Torah want us to have children? Why do we have to have children for? I don't want to have children. What do we have to have children for? The reason is because we don't live forever. And therefore, if we don't perpetuate and procreate, then the world just is going to end. If we would live to 10,000 years old, we don't need children for. We don't have children for. We don't live forever. But because we don't live forever, because the time, everybody has an expiration date, so therefore we have to get married and do something for the next generation, because we're not going to be here forever. Under the wedding, we remind ourselves of the purpose. And therefore we break the glass to remember the mortality of man, to remind ourselves that what? We'll try to have children. It's not a morbid remembering of the death. The remembering of the death at that moment is to say you're not going to live forever, therefore prepare the next generation. If you live forever, don't get married. If you're living forever, what do you have to worry about the next generation? Everybody's still here. But because generations come and go, so therefore it's your obligation to keep it going. So we remember the day of death, not in a negative way. We remember the day of death in a positive way to remember the purpose of what we're here to do. I must have said this 1,000 times under the chuppah. When we get married, we say to our wives, "Hareh at mikudeshet li b'taba'at zu kedat Moshe v'Yisrael." It's 9 words. Why did the rabbis want us to get married in 9 words? They say 9 words, 9 months. They're hinting to us that is one of the objectives. Of course, to be together. We know that already. It's to show giving to each other. We know all that stuff. But one of the objectives is, of course, is to create the next generation. So 9 words, 9 months. That's part of the Kavanah. I'm going to tell you a deep thing that the Zohar Kadosh alludes to. How come when you're standing under a chuppah, everybody's crying always? Why are you crying? It's a happy night, beautiful night. The father of the bride's crying because he has to pay for the wedding, but he's the only guy. He's the only guy that has a right to cry. But besides everybody else, why are they crying? The mother of the bride, they give her tissues and a thing. It's a happy night. So they say, oh, because it's emotional. I love my daughter. I love my son. I can't believe it. Okay, that's superficial reasons. The holy books write. A lot of times. Sometimes we just have an urge to cry. We don't even know what brought it on. We're just tearing or something. We get emotional. It says because the neshama senses it. Sometimes the soul senses something and it activates the tears and you don't even know why you're in the mood, but the neshama knows why. When you're standing under the chuppah, the neshama sees a couple getting married and the neshama senses why they're getting married. They have children. Because they're not going to live forever. The neshama at that moment senses the mortality of man, and therefore people start crying. Now, even though if you ask them why you're crying, they'll tell you, emotional. But the real reason they're crying is because the neshama feels it. That we're at a wedding here tonight because that's the high level. That's the depth of what the holy books tell you. Even though you say, no, I'm not even thinking about dying. Your neshama is feeling. You're not feeling it subconsciously. That's the reason. That's why it's uncontrollable. That's why it's uncontrollable. But I want to give you another reason why you break the glass. It's an amazing thing. You can't imagine how many things.
How many reasons?
I want to give you 100 reasons tonight. What are we up to? Before. I'm going to give you another one. This is probably the main reason why we break the glass. This is what I think. At least I say it under the chuppah always. So the reason why the Hatan breaks the glass at the wedding is because it's the last time he's going to put his foot down. It could be a true reason, but of course that's a joke. It's not a joke sometimes. But the reason why we break the glass, there's a rabbi called the Rokayah. He says another reason, a basic reason. He says the breaking of the glass is to commemorate the breaking of the 2 tablets. Remember when Moses came down, he broke the tablets? So we break the glass to commemorate the breaking of the tablets. And you ask a question, why now? What do you have to commemorate the breaking of the tablets? At a wedding no less, you have to commemorate the breaking of the tablets? Well, what's the doing in Shabbat? Break the tablets. What's the reason of the wedding? So I'm going to tell you a big concept now. It's a very important concept. I'll give you an introduction. There was a rabbi in the Gemara. They called him Shimon HaAmsoni. He was a rabbi's name. He had a theory. His theory was that there's no extra words in the Torah. Every word is meaningful. Even the smallest word, et. You see the word et, aleph, taf. You see it all over the place. So every time it says et, it must be coming to tell me something. So he started to write a thesis. And he went from the beginning. Bereshit, bara, Elohim, et, Hashem, et, Hidush. It went through thousands. Every et he gave an interpretation. He got to the end of the Torah. I was almost finished this theory. And there's a pasuk in the Torah that says, et Hashem Elohecha tira. You must fear God. That has the word et. So the rabbi said, what is the et coming to include? Is there anybody else in the world you have to fear? Like God? So he thought long and hard and he said, every other et worked, but this one doesn't work. Et Hashem Elohecha tira. You must fear God. Et to include who? So he said, you know what? Must be my theory was wrong. Because if it doesn't work every time, must be it's flawed. He took the book and he shelved it. It says, until years later, there was a rabbi called Rabbi Akiva, and he said, I'll tell you what the it is coming to include. You know what the it is coming to include? You have to fear God, and there's somebody else that you have to fear, almost like God, and that's Talmidei Chachamim, the rabbis. The rabbis are the closest, on earth at least, the right rabbis, I hope, like God. One time, we had a rabbi in our community, the chief rabbi, Rabbi Kassim, he was a very, very holy man. One of the little boys came into Shabbos Yom one day, and he sat in the front row, and he's just staring at Rabbi Kassim. And he's just staring at him, his beautiful white beard, and a top hat. And he had a glow. His father says, "Son, what are you looking at?" He says, "Shh, I'm looking at God." He said, "No, that's not God, that's Rabbi Kassim." He said, "No, that's God." That's God. That's his connection. And the father says, "You're right, that's God." For him, that's God. We want to respect, because that connects us to God. If you don't respect the messenger, then how are you going to respect Borei Olam? So Rabbi Akiva said, "I'm going to tell you, it is coming to include Talmidei Hachamim." So one rabbi said, what inspired Rabbi Akiva to put the rabbis on such a high level? Which is the first rabbi didn't dare say that. Rabbi Akiva came along and said, "I'll say it." What inspired him? What motivated him? You know what they say? When he saw the first rabbi, that he worked on a project for his whole life, and then at the end he saw that it wasn't true, that he had such intellectual honesty, and he's willing to put his whole life's work and put it away because it wasn't true. He says, if that's what a rabbi is capable of doing, I can say that you have to respect Hachamim like this. The inspiration came from the first rabbi. Amazing. When he saw that, he said, "Wow, man, you know how hard it is when you work on something your whole life. It's very hard all of a sudden to say, I was wrong." The more you become invested in something, the more you become entrenched in something, now you have to defend yourself. Now you have to protect your position. They did a study, it was written in the Wall Street Journal many years ago, on theses that are presented in colleges, either by students or professors. They said 7 out of 10 of the papers that are presented, the authors of the paper themselves know the fallacies of the paper, they know it's wrong, but they don't say it. Because they worked on it for so long, and all of a sudden they realize the mistake, so they leave the mistake, they just say, here's what we printed. Because it's too difficult to admit. There was a great rabbi called Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. He's a big rabbi in Israel, he passed away. He eventually became the Rosh Yeshiva of a yeshiva called Kol Torah. But before he became the Rosh Yeshiva, he came in to give his model class. He has to give a model lesson. So the other rabbis are listening to how he gives his class. He gave a whole derasha in front of the students. Well thought out, Gemara and all that stuff. In the middle of the class, one of the students says, "But Rabbi, according to what you're saying, I have this question." The rabbi hears the question. He says, "You know something? You're right. You got me. The theory's okay. Class is over. It's a mistake." And the rabbi's thinking in his mind, there goes my interview. There goes my interview. The Rosh Yeshiva got up and said, "You got the job. That's exactly the one we're looking for. The one that's honest. The one that can work on something for the whole hour, and then because somebody asked a good question and you understood that you're wrong, and you can come along and say, it's not truthful. That's the best one we're looking for." Who are we looking for? Somebody that's going to just go forward no matter what? That's going to just circumvent the truth because of their personal ego? But that's most people. That's why, for example, when we see somebody in the later years make teshuvah, you see it now very often. I don't know, a 40-year-old, 50-year-old, all of a sudden gets religious. You know how great that is? Because when they get religious at 50 or 60, what are they really saying? The first 50 years of my life, I was wrong. You know how difficult it is to say you were wrong? The hardest thing in it. So these people are very, very special in God's eyes. Not only that, you don't have to go to village, forget about that. How about in an argument? When I'm arguing with you, the longer I argue, the more now it's difficult for me to come along and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong." Which is, if I can right away in an argument, you tell me, "But Rabbi, if the first second I can say I made a mistake," okay, good, it's easy. But now if I'm doing this for 3 days, Now it's not about the argument anymore. Now it's now I have to defend my position.
Shall we laughing?
No, now it already becomes personal. Now it's not about even the item, because now if I because now if I retreat,
you're not even talking about that.
Yeah, because now if I retreat, now I'm very bad. Watch this. That's a great lesson if we could teach just a couple, bride and groom, that you know what, you're going to get married, inevitably there's going to come disagreements. Be intellectually honest. If you're wrong, admit that you made a mistake and finish it. The longer you're going to hold on to the argument, the more you're going to become entrenched in it, and it's going to be much more difficult to back out. So we want to teach that to Hatam v'Kala. You know what the best example we can give? Moshe Rabbeinu breaking the tablets. Moshe Rabbeinu worked on these tablets 40 days and 40 nights. He gave his life up. He didn't eat. He didn't drink. He's up there with God. The angels are fighting with him. The Gemara says, and this is his life's dream. He finally brings down beautiful finished product, the Luchot. And what does he see? Golden calf. You know what? If I was Moshe Rabbeinu, I would say, wow, you know, I worked too hard on these things. Let me put them down over here on the side of the mountain. I can't break them. And I'll give the people a speech. Hey, stop doing that. That's no. Wave your hands a little. You know, throw your jacket. Throw coffee on them. But I'm not. To do hot. But Moshe Rabbeinu says the right thing to do is to break these laws. I have to show them that this is wrong. So Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to all the work that he put into it and all the effort and all. What's right is right, and he breaks the luchot. From Moshe Rabbeinu we learn that even he was totally invested in it, he did what's right. In marriage we're teaching Hatam v'Kala. When you break the glass, you're breaking the luchot that night. We're telling the bride, do what's right. Don't let your personal ego get in the way. Don't let your personal investment, if something is I'm sorry, honey, I made a mistake. Wow, I can't believe you're admitting that you're wrong. Yeah, well, instead, what happens all the time? Couples come to me for advice, and they're arguing. Yeah, but I'm right. You're not in a courtroom. Marriage is not a courtroom. You want to be right? Okay, you're right. Don't be right in marriage. Be smart. Give in, compromise. You want to be okay? We'll put aside. He's right. Okay, now what? Now what are you going to do now? So you're going to kill each other because you're right? Don't be right, be smart. You're in a courtroom, then be right, but you're not in a courtroom. But what happens again? They're not talking for 2 days. Oh, so now for me to come after 2 days, it's very difficult, because I was wrong for 48 hours after. That's why nip it in the bud. Right away when you know you made a mistake, it hurts even then. Even 1 second it hurts. We defend ourselves even on something we said a second ago, it's hard for us to recant it. If somebody comes down, what's the weather going to be tomorrow? I tell you, rain. That's it. I have to defend that position, no matter what happens. Now, if the weatherman comes and it's supposed to be 80 degrees and sunny, no, I heard rain. Because you said it, that's it. You said it, you're stuck now. And then you're very hard to back out of it, even for 1 second. What does it cost me to say, I made a mistake? Because I said, could you imagine if it goes on for 2 seconds, or 2 days, or 3 days? Forget about it, impossible. The greatest of Moshe Rabbeinu is 40 days of work. It's wrong. Boom, he breaks them.
Rabbi, what if you were really right and you say you're wrong just to go forward with the plan?
It's the highest level.
Smart.
That's the highest level. And you're smart. What did I just say? You're being smart. Listen to the girl.
Don't be right.
Don't be right. Joey, this is going to haunt you, this line.
I said it, I know.
It's going to haunt everybody. Don't be right.
Brothers, sisters,
She has a photographic memory, this one. Don't be
Women
right.
are very patient, no matter what.
They hold out.
They hold out to
don't be ego, say you're wrong, so just let's go, I'm sorry, that's a whole other
Set it
level.
right. Don't be right. Be smart. Now let's talk time. Give me another reason why you break the glass.
That could make somebody even more.
I have one question.
Yes, dear.
You said something, and Isaac mentioned it. Why the worst time that to argue with your wife is Friday night? That's like you woke up to that house.
I heard, Rabbi, that the time they come to Shalom Bayit, Shabbat,
Woke up to the house
Friday night. We're all quiet, Rabbi. Come home Friday night.
Asking me or Ike? Who are you asking?
No, they're not asking me. I mentioned this that Friday night. Don't ask me. No, you
I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to answer your question.
So really,
I'm going to answer your question. Joey's asking, why always on Shabbat this happens?
Friday night, really?
I would like
Listen, I'm going to tell you. The Torah says, "Lo teva'aru esh bechol moshpotechem b'yom haShabbat." You're not allowed to make a fire in your house on Shabbat. That's what Torah says.
Correct.
You can make fire. We know that. That's one of the 39 things you're not allowed to do on Shabbat. So all the rabbis ask, why doesn't it say in the Torah you're not allowed to write 2 letters on Shabbat? You're not allowed to turn on you can't build on Shabbat. Out of all the things that are forbidden, the only thing the Torah says, don't make a fire. Why did they choose that one? So the holy books say that the Torah is coming to teach you a deeper lesson. The fire represents anger. When you get angry, what happens? You get heated up. Oh, you get round up, rage. The Torah says, because it knows that Shabbat, and I'm telling you why. The Torah knows that that's a day when people might get angry. And the Torah's warning you, Lo tevaru esh. Don't let the fire of anger get to you. Why? First, you have to discuss the dangers of anger. The Zohar Kadosh writes, there's nothing more physically dangerous than anger. Not about spiritually, physically dangerous. Blood pressure, ulcer, heavy breathing, stress,
Heart attack.
God forbid. That's already it's like taking a knife and just punishing yourself. But besides that, the Zohar writes, at the time of anger, it's so contaminating to the body that the soul cannot rest in a body of anger. The soul leaves, but you're still alive. Negative energies instead of the soul come in instead and take its place. They call those negative energies sitra hara. That means you lose your holy soul at the time of anger, and now you're possessed with all sorts of other stuff. Rabbeinu Ari says that's why one of the ways to fix the anger is you have to go to the mikveh. You mentioned mikveh, right? The numerical value of mikveh is 151. The numerical value of the word kaas is 150 plus the word itself is 151. Mikveh neutralizes kaas. Wow, imagine that. They don't say anything, but for this you have to go to mikveh. You got angry? Dip in the waters. On Shabbat, you know why it's doubly worse? Because on Shabbat we have 2 souls. Now when you get angry on Shabbat, you're losing double barrel. You're losing the 2 neshamot. That's why the Chida writes there's a special Yetzer Hara that only comes on Friday afternoons from 3 hours before Shabbat till Shabbat. He only works 3 hours a week, this guy. And then he comes back. And what's this Yetzer Hara? To get everybody angry at each other, so the Shabbat will be ruined, so that extra neshama will not come into you, so you will not benefit. That's why you'll notice the craziest things will happen on Friday afternoon. I'll give you an example myself. If you come to my come to my closet in the house, in the bedroom, you'll see I have 40 shirts. It's not too exciting. It's all the same. White. It's all the same. Not exciting at all. Very boring. Very boring. Same exact shirt 40 times. That's it. And when I called the guy before the holiday, give me 5 more. Which ones, Rabbi? The same ones you've been giving me for 30 years. The same white, ugly shirt. Okay, that's the shirt. Okay. And I put a shirt on every single day. Why is it only on Friday that when I put the shirt on, the button breaks? I put it on every single day. Never the button breaks. Friday I put the shirt on. Because why? Because I have 5 minutes to get to shul. And I'm rushing, and I put it up, boom. Because now the Yetzer Hara saying beauty. Now let him get him crazy now. Now let him get nuts. Now let him get nervous. Now
Start the day like that.
Go ask electricians. They'll tell you ovens break on Friday. What do you mean they don't break on Tuesday? They break on Tuesday, but they break on Friday. Now you'll tell me because that's what we cook. We cook every day in our families. We use the oven every day. Why does it only break on Friday? Because that's part of the item. That's part of the Yetzer Hara. Ask the plumber. Toilets and sinks break every day, but Friday more. Why? Because that's the Yetzer Hara. So things will happen on Friday that never happened during the week. Crazy stuff to get why? For the reason I told you. Because the Yetzer Hara knows the extra neshama is about to come into you. He don't want you to have that extra neshama because that lifts you. So if he can get you in an angry mood, beautiful. You lost out on the extra soul, and that's what the Torah warns you. I'm telling you, lo tevaru esh. Don't make the fire, because if you make the fire, and not only that, the Shabbat itself, we're home, so with family, and there's kids running. It's prone to that. But during the day, I'm busy. I'm going to work. I'm not home. You're not on top of me. We're not on top of each other. We're not under each other's legs. We're not eating together. We don't have time to get angry. We're too busy. But Shabbat, you're home all day long. So you can make mistakes. You said the wrong word. You're talking. You didn't mean it. Sha'at achila, sha'at milchama. The time of eating is the time of war, the Gemara says. So it's prone. But that's why you have to overcome it. And the reason why it happens is for that reason. So the neshama won't come. What I tell you, it's the same thing. Anytime something great happens, Satan tries to sabotage. The bribe of that, I don't know the bribe of that. I don't know how you bribe him from that. You just have to be aware of it and not let it affect you. But I want to give you another reason now. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. The Friday Yetzirah. I know it.
The other soul that comes in there.
Yeah, there's an extra soul. There's a special Shabbat soul. Friday night it comes into the person. Saturday night it leaves. That's why on Saturday night we have a custom, we make Havdalah and we smell perfume on Saturday night. Because when the Neshama leaves, there's a void inside of us. So to fill the void, smell goes inside. So like it fills the void and goes, we feel bad, we lost extra soul. So they smell Besamim. At least it gives us a little consolation. But don't worry, the next Shabbat it comes. There's a double Kiddusha on Shabbat. I want to explain the last reason tonight why we break the glass. My purpose is not to teach you why you break the glass, even though it's fascinating to learn all the reasons. My purpose is to teach you that everything in Judaism is deep. A lot of times, what's the reason? It doesn't make sense. Well, come to class, analyze it, and you'll start to see that there's major reasons for everything. Before this class, if I would tell you why you break the glass, right away all of you said Jerusalem. That's only one of. And now that you heard the class, you might say, I don't like that reason. I like the other reasons better. That's like the weakest of all the reasons. Other reasons of. Listen to this. Torah writes, Al ken, therefore, Ya'azov ish et aviv ve'et imo v'davak be'ishto. It says, therefore, man will leave his parents' house and cling to his wife. It's talking about getting married. It says, you leave your parents' house and you cling to your wife. The rabbis ask, well, only the man leaves his parents' house? Well, the lady doesn't leave his parents' house? You both leave your respective parents' house, you get married. Why does it say, the man leaves the parents' house and he attaches with his wife? A simple interpretation you want? The Torah is teaching the psychology of a woman. A woman never leaves her parents' home. A woman is always connected to her parents. The man could leave. The man's independent. That's you have to know that. Therefore, when the lady says, I want to go to my parents, it's normal. The husband, he leaves his parents' house. Our custom is, for example, many of the communities, they go to deal in the summer. Where does the couple stay? By the girl's house. Because the girl has to be next to her mother. That's the way it works. And you have to recognize that. You can't say, you can't go back to your mother's anymore. That's it, it's finished. You got married, that's it, you're locked up, you can't go back. No, you can't do that. I let my wife go once a year to visit her parents. It has to, you have to be flexible.
Trying to create trouble over here?
No. I married a girl from Deal, so it's hard to. The thing is like this. That's a simple interpretation. I want to say a deep interpretation. In marriage, everybody has roles. The role of a man is to be the role of a man. The role of a woman is to be the role of a woman. It's not a mitzvah for everybody to be somebody that they're not supposed to be. What's the role of the man in the marriage? The Zohar Kadosh refers to the man as a mashpia. Mashpia is the one that provides. Very good. The one that provides. The one that gives. On a simple level, the man goes out to work. It's his job to bring home parnasah. If the girl wants to go to work, she can, but it's not her obligation. The breadwinner of the family is supposed to be the man. He's supposed to come home with the money, give it to the wife. She receives the money, and she's supposed to build the house with it, prepare it, make sure the house is... Not only that, not only in the physical state, but even in bringing children, just without getting into detail, the man is the giver and the lady receives. Think of how you have your children. The man gives and the lady receives. Not only that, but even spiritually. Spiritually, the man is supposed to set the pace. Who's the rabbi of the family? The husband is supposed to give the spiritual direction of the family. The rabbi of the family is the husband as well. And the lady again, she receives the direction from the husband, of course with her input, but she receives and she uses that information to build a Jewish home. Everybody has their roles. The man is the giver. That's what a man has to go out every single day and make parnasa and come home and give. That's what he's doing all day long. Providing. Builds a house for the family, gives of himself to the family. And again, the lady manages all this. When everybody's doing things right, the marriage is good. Then you have some case where the guy's a deadbeat. He don't want to go to work. So he doesn't want to provide. Now the whole house gets topsy-turvy. And she has to go out and work, and she was going to raise the kid. Disaster. Everybody has to do their God-given responsibility. The first marriage in history was Adam and Eve. What was the source of the sin of Adam and Eve? She comes to Adam and she's giving Adam a rishon. And she's telling Adam what to do. Eat from the tree. God comes to Adam and rishon and says, what did you do over here? You forgot who you are? She's giving you the direction of the halakha, of what to do, what's right and wrong. Instead of you giving her, she's giving you to eat. You reversed it. This is the reason why you made that one. It's supposed to be the other way. Not only that, but the holy books write, when the Jewish people went to Egypt, it says Paro, he did a crazy thing. He made the men do ladies' work and the ladies do men's work. You know why they did that? The Zohar HaKadosh Ra'izal says, because the Jews in Egypt went down to Egypt and suffered to atone for the sin of Adam HaRishon. Since the sin of Adam HaRishon is they switched roles, so God said, good, now you're going to switch the roles in Egypt. Now you do this work to fix that sin. Now watch this. When a man is living in his house, is he giving or is he taking? When he lives by his parents' house, he's a taker. When we live by our parents, they give us everything. We don't pay any bills, we don't pay nothing. Free board, free room, free food, free everything. We check it at night, we give our parents the clothes, they clear. We're just taking everything. We have no responsibility. You know what the Torah says? Al-Ken, Ya'azov ish et aviv ve'emo. Before you get married, you have to leave your parents' house, meaning leave the attitude that you had in your parents' house. You have to go from being a taker, now you have to go to be a giver. That's what it means you leave your parents' house. Leave that attitude that you had in your parents' house and now go be a giver. A cup. What's the purpose of a cup? Receives or gives?
Receives.
It gives. Receives. Receptacle receives.
Keeps it. And gives it.
No. You have to give. The cup itself doesn't give. The cup itself is a receptacle. You have to do something. The cup itself's purpose is to receive. It doesn't give you anything. It receives. Yes? On the night of the wedding, you know what we tell the Hatan? Break the glass. You're not a receiver anymore. Now you have to be a giver. You're no more receiving anymore like a glass. Now you left your father's house now. No more giving, no more receiving. This attitude has to be broken. Now you start your new career of being a mashpia. Now go out and work. Support your wife. Support your children. Give them spiritual guidance. Give them the proper way. Wow. If we would only have known this on the night of the wedding, we learned this many years later. Okay, we're not finished. We're going to have many weddings, 10 at this gym. But it's just to show you that again, even the customs that we take for granted, at the wedding it takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes. It takes 5 seconds. Break the glass. Many times I tell the Hatan, don't step on my finger. One time I stepped on my hand. I'm just putting the thing under there, boom. Right. But the lesson is over here. That even the smallest of the minhagim, look how rich. Let's review the reasons we said. Number 1, Jerusalem. Number 2, because kos equals 86, which is Elohim, which is the judgments. Number 3, to bribe the Satan. The Satan, you take this like the Maimah Haranim, like the Saif Azazil. Number 4, to remember the day of death. You're not going to live forever. Therefore, bring children into the world. Number 5, to remember the breaking of the Luchot. Don't be so invested. If you're wrong, admit that you're wrong. Don't hold on to the argument. And the 6th reason that we said over here is to teach us that now you're no longer a giver. Now you have to become, no longer are you a taker. Now you have to become a giver. Is that clear? Okay, we'll stop it.